Hello and welcome to the SoundLab podcast interviews unedited. On today's show we have interviews from Brian of the band Pvris. We also have KillerStar, Jess Moskaluke, Max Miller of DEJA DEAD, and we throw back in time to have a chat with Phil Campbell, who will know from Motorhead, who sadly passed away this week. So that is all to come on today's show. So shall we crack on and play our first interview from Pvris? Now, Brian Macdonald of the band Pvris is doing a cycle ride from Land's End to John O'Groats to raise money for Nordoff and Robbins. We had a chat with him all about it. So Brian Macdonald of Pvris, how are you?
Good. How you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. So the reason we're having a little chat is because you've decided to cycle from Land's End to John O'Groats. Tell us a little bit about the reason why you've decided to do that.
Yeah, we're embarking on a big challenge, but the reason why is because we're working with this amazing charity called Nordoff and Robbins. They are a music therapy charity, and I believe they're the biggest music therapy charity in the UK or the world, if I'm correct on that. But yeah, they're an amazing charity, and I was reached out to by my friend Ross, who I'm doing the ride with, back in October, and he knew I cycled a lot. I cycled a lot just for like mental health stuff and just getting into the realm of trying to pick up something new, because I lived up in the Peak District for a little bit, and he asked me, he's like, do you want to embark on this big cycle journey? And I was like, I don't know. And then he told me it was for Nordoff and Robbins, and I did a bit of research and looked into the charity, and they do amazing work, which, ranges from working with, a child with autism or, a teenager going through, mental health issues, all down to like a grandparent, unfortunately, having dementia, and just trying to connect all of, music into one, and in terms of helping with each stage. So, that's about it. And we're embarking out on this ride next month. It's about 1,100 miles, I believe. Just a bit crazy to say out loud, but
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's going to take about 2 weeks, according to what I've researched. How ready are you?
I think we're as ready as we can be. It's one of these. It's very interesting because I cycle quite a bit even before agreeing to do this ride. I cycled, a fair bit, but obviously this is kind of pushing that threshold of, what I was doing prior. But we've got amazing support through the cycle community. We've been working with a company called Sturker, if I pronounced that correctly. They are a supplement-based company, but also, specialize in kind of like formulating nutrition guidance for big rides like this, or like, endurance training. And we were actually in their lab yesterday doing some testing, and, being given a nice little rundown of how we should consume carbs and, drink electrolytes, which is always a great thing to have because it's daunting going into it, not knowing that side of things. But yeah, for being ready, I feel like we're in a good space. It's one where we just have to do it to really know. You know what I mean? You can do a lot of training, and then, you could be day 3 in and be like, oh, I'm absolutely shattered. But we've got each other. We've got a small little community within us where we're going to get to the end, and it's all for a great cause. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'll tell people now that you can donate on the Nordoff Robbins website. Links, I'm sure
Yes.
you've got on all your socials. They're everywhere, so go and do it.
Correct.
One thing I want to get out there is make sure if you pay tax, do gift aid, because it's free money for you, then free money for the charity as well. So
you nailed it right on the head there. Yeah. And like you mentioned, the charity donation page is on my socials and our socials as well, and on Nordoff and Robbins page. And even just going to the Nordoff and Robbins homepage and donating from there, you can donate to the ride, but also just donating to the charity itself. It just helps either way. whatever makes it easier for someone to donate and get money to, or give money to a great cause.
Yeah, most definitely. And I believe you and Ross have done some visits to meet people who use musical therapists. What was meeting those sort of people like?
It was fantastic. It was just amazing to see the work firsthand that they do, like the music therapist. It costs £19,000 to train a music therapist, and a lot of this ride and what we're going to be, getting in for donations, I believe that's going to be going towards training music therapists, and also towards patients coming in needing music therapy. But yeah, it's kind of like that way of navigating it. It's been so amazing to see firsthand, like going into the charity and meeting. We met with an amazing woman called Ruby, and she's an amazing bass player. And she receives music therapy through Nordoff and Robbins, and she's just such a character, so funny, just full of just charisma and just like knowledge that even myself being in the music industry for 15 plus years, like, she's teaching me things, and the session was great. She's an amazing bass player. We got to work with one of the her music therapists as well. And we got to have a little jam session, and it was really cool to see the progression in terms of what her music therapist was explaining to us, her progression with her bass playing. And she has this like really cool, I believe it was like a Jackson bass with like pink strings, and she had like this cool amp. It was just really, really cool. It just brought me back, because I said in our interview that we did with Nordoff and Robbins, it's like sometimes when you're in music and we do this as a profession, you can kind of get caught up and you forget how special music is. And having that moment of just seeing how music can connect people and how it can bring people joy and take them away from, the hardships that they're dealing with outside of it. It was just such a special moment, and seeing it firsthand was unbelievable. It was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, I bet. And what was it like for Ruby to meet probably two of her favorite bassists in yourself and Ross, who people might not know from the 1975? What was it like for her to meet you two?
She was just so cool. Like we were more excited to meet her, I feel like. And like she was just so down to earth, and she was just cracking jokes at us. And yeah, it was just really cool to have that experience with her, where, like even coming into it as like, if it's like a fan experience of getting to meet one of your favorite, musicians, she was just so awesome and just so full of joy and light. And it just got me really excited to do this ride and like just get as many donations as we can, but like getting to that finish line for her and for other people like her that, we have yet to meet. But I know that they're receiving this amazing, therapy through Nordoff and Robbins. And yeah,
absolutely. And this is going to take up all your time for the next month and a bit, for sure.
Yeah.
But you've still got a busy rest of the year ahead. Tell us what else you've got planned this year.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, this is taking up a majority of this is actually taking up like a 6-month block of my life, which has been really nice to have my mindset focused on something like this that's so special and important. But following the ride, who knows? We may embark on another ride. I don't know. But music wise, we're heading back out on tour in the summer with an artist called Lindsay Sterling, and she's like an amazing violinist and just an amazing performer. We're doing that. That's about a month and a half in America. And then we're playing All Points East with 21 Pilots, which is going to be great coming back over here. I mean, I live in the UK, but when we come over as a band and play, it's always so amazing. This is our second home, and my actual home. So, that, and then just, music in the pipeline and just staying as busy as we can. We want to get back out there and play some shows.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's been, I think, about a year now since your last release, with an anniversary version and a single as well. Have you had a chance to be back in the studio yet?
Yeah, it's kind of just, getting into the motion of, finding what's right and in terms of what we're feeling sonically and what we want the next version of the project to be. But yeah, that's kind of Lindsay's world with Paris. She's an amazing creative, and she's an amazing producer and songwriter. So, I never doubt her in terms of like what she's going to be able to bring to life and bring to this next stage of Paris. We always get so excited when we start back up on a record cycle. So
Yeah, no, most definitely. At what point do you get involved then? Because obviously Lindsay is kind of the main songwriter and producer, as you mentioned. What does she come to you with, and how much input do you then have?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've been doing this, since we were in high school, and we've always respected each other's creative input and output in terms of just like how we grew as musicians, or just where we were when we were younger, and then where we got to now. But yeah, I kind of just, like for her to just be in the driver's seat, because she is just a really great creative, and she's a driving force for the band. So it's something where, she has all my respect and all my praise for what she does and how she executes, writing and recording, and how many people, come to our shows. That's a significant sign of, her doing really well at that. And then like live show stuff, I get to put my input in, and we have like a music director, but we all get to kind of bring forth our background of, musical knowledge, and like we're very, I would say her and I are very adamant on wanting the show to be as best as it can, but also not sounding exactly like the record. I don't want to speak on her behalf of that. I think she would agree with me, but yeah, we like to make sure that we can give, different versions of a show. So, people can be stoked coming back to another show and being like, oh, I don't remember that was played like that. That sounds cool. They extended the bridge, kind of dropping like little Easter eggs, for fans and getting them excited about coming to a Paris show.
Yeah, most definitely. And one thing I like to find out for you specifically, what's a show day like for you? So tell us a bit about what happens from when you get up until after the show is finished.
Yeah, I wish it was exciting, and I feel like a lot of viewers are gonna be like, oh, this sounds boring. But it's like one of those things where, you wake up, show day, you go get breakfast and a coffee, you go to the gym or go for a run or a bike ride. You get back to the venue, you do a sound check. You have like a little bit of time for lunch, and then you do meet and greet. Meet and greet's one of my favorite times of the day, because you get to meet all these amazing people, and all the Paris fans are so funny and so sweet. And it's such a great little community of people where they meet their best friend, at a Paris show, and they've been friends for 5-6+ years. And it's just amazing catching up with people. They're not fans, they're friends, So having that for the meet and greet it's always nice. And then that gets us really pumped for the show. And then in between, we just have some food, call our families and, check in. And we don't live a rock star lifestyle, unfortunately. We're not out a party until 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then, waking up the next day and doing it again. We're very much like, yeah. It's just like, we're in our 30s. So it's just nice. We have, kids, families, and it's just nice and also it's just nice to be switched on and be ready for shows, and giving someone who bought a ticket the best performance you can give, because they're given their time, so it's very important that we respect that. But yeah, it's kind of like a vanilla or a chocolate, or, what I mean? It's just very simple day. It's not like we're going skydiving and then, like I said, going to the pub immediately after and then showing up like 2 minutes before the show.
Sensible.
Yeah. It's sensible. It's being sensible.
Brian, thanks so much for having a chat. Just one more time, where can people go and donate, and what's the cause?
So yes, one more time, we are doing a big cycle ride for a charity called Nordhoff and Robbins. It's about 1,000 miles, 1,100 miles. You can go to Nordhoff and Robbins website, and you can donate just immediately to the donation page that's already on the home screen, or you can find us by typing in, one of our names in the search bar. And also on my own Instagram page, I have the link listed in there. And then you can go to the Nordoff and Robbins Instagram. You can find our video through there and then donate through there. And that would be great. It would help us, complete the ride as well, because donations matter. And that is kind of the fuel for us, like the electrolytes and the carbs and all that stuff can get us through, but donations are going to fuel us a bit more to get through. So.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Brian Macdonald of the band Pvris to talk about his charity cycle ride for Nordoff and Robbins. So make sure you go and donate. Now, we are all over social media, so come and find us at The Sound Lab Yes on all the socials. You can also check out the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. So while you go and find us on all the socials and give us some follows, we've got our next interview from KillerStar. They've got a new record out this week, and we had a chat with them all about it. So, KillerStar, how are you?
Very good.
Great, thanks.
Good, that is great to hear. So we've been playing a single of yours called The Afterglow. Tell us a little bit about the single, first of all.
Go on, Rob. You go.
Yeah, it's the title track of our new album. It's out March 20th, so a few days' time. Basically it's a pretty up-tempo, rocking kind of tune. It features all the players on the album. It's James and myself, vocal, guitar, and James on drums. We've got Earl Slick on guitar and Mike Garson on piano, and the David Bowie alumni, and the Mark Platty, and also the Webb sisters. So I think it's a apt song to kick the album off at tempo. And the song's actually about the kind of afterglow you get after you're on a high, after a good performance or going to see a great gig, and you're going to get that feeling. That kind of afterglow stays with you for a few hours or days. And that's really what it's about.
Nice. Yeah, nice. And as mentioned, that's coming off your new record, also called The Afterglow. The sound that you've made with this record, was it the sound you wanted, or is it kind of how it turned out as you were writing and recording it?
Same?
Well, it's pretty much as we want it, actually. Rob provides really detailed demos and he sends them over, and I will mess with them as much as I dare, and put some drums down, maybe sometimes change the feel a bit. But we both have the same sort of idea about how we want it to sound, and we want it to sound big, bold, positive. So yeah, we're really delighted with it. Actually, it's with our partner Dave Eringo, who co-produced it with us. We've got a sound that we're really behind. We love it.
Good. Yeah. No, that's great to hear, and I think you have to love it to put it out into the world.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto the record, though. What happens to those now? Do you consider them again down the line, or is it a case of starting afresh when the time comes?
Well, there's 8 songs on the album. I don't think there's a lot left over actually from those album sessions. Maybe 1 or 2 kind of half finished things. So when it's time for the next one, and that can be any time really. We kind of just go with the flow in terms of the songs that come out. Then we'll probably start from scratch.
Yeah, we're oh, sorry, Rob. Go on.
No, I was just going to say what we are going to do is release down the line. What we did on the first album was put out a companion album called Reimagined, which is alternative mixes, alternative versions, remixes, maybe even a bonus song we put on this next one as well. So we will have like a bridge to the next album with a kind of deluxe version of the album, like a reimagined version of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's interesting, really. We don't have lots of songs that we didn't complete, but we do have a lot of music from our collaborators. So when they send stuff to us, they often send a lot. It's great to see, because they must be very inspired to provide 50 tracks of guitar or multiple takes, harmonized sections. Everything is there. So there is a lot of stuff that it just couldn't fit onto the album. So, but we're very aware that when you've got guitar tracks from Earl Slick or Jerry Leonard sitting there on the hard drive, we probably want to do something with it. So, I might even re-record some drums and do a completely different version of the song. When you've lived with the song for a while, sometimes you think, oh, no, I know, we could do it in half time, we could do it in double time, we could do all sorts of things. So, because the songs are really strong, they can withstand many treatments. So, yeah, there's plenty to come, actually, from us with all this music that is just sitting here waiting to be used.
Nice. And with the reimagined versions coming out down the line, how straightforward do you find it to take a track that you have now been performing for a while, you love them as they are, how straightforward or difficult is it to change what is already there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, you do get very wedded to, the final versions because we're really happy with what we put out, as James said. But I think, that's still the definitive version. And I think we're very open to, alternatives. And, we can hear kind of different versions already in our head for some of the songs that may be more stripped back, or in the case of a remix, being open with somebody who we respect to do something completely different, and we find it exciting, to be honest. And it's a way for the music to continue to kind of live and breathe, if you like, in a different form. So, I think if it was a remix that was being proposed, without putting out the original mix in the first place, that's a whole different ballgame. Then it's like, oh, I'm not sure about that. But as a companion piece, we're pretty cool with it.
Yeah, good. And you've touched on having some of David Bowie's alumni on there, Mike, Earl, and Mark. What's it like having them performed and toured with David many times? What's it like having them on your music now?
I mean, it's great. I mean, now, I mean, they've been on the first album, the second album, several live shows. So, it just feels like the band, really. It's, I guess probably the first time that they were on the songs, way back in 23, and the first show we did is a little bit of a pinch ourselves moment, like, oh, wow. But the focus when we're together is on the songs, really, and the KillerStar music. I think they really enjoy doing new music together, and they're just fantastic musicians, and it's just it's absolute pleasure to have them involved. James, anything you want to add on that?
I think on the first album, I felt slightly nervous about working with such great musicians, but they were so great to work with. And so respectful of the songs. They really enjoyed having some new stuff to play. So this time round, it's not nervousness, it's just excitement, really, that we feel, because they can really deliver. Their parts are so great. They're very positive people to be around as well. They just want what's best for the song. So, to be honest, this time round, I don't think Mr. Bowie got much of a look in. At first it was like, wow, I've seen them on stage with David, and this time it was just focusing on the songs. We really enjoy working with these guys.
Good, yeah, nice. And I'd like to talk a bit about the writing process as well. So for you guys, how do tracks normally start off?
It starts off with me writing the song, and basically I have the sketch of the idea. Sometimes I'll share that in advance with James before it's, in a good shape. And other times I'll wait until the demo's done. And basically I create the demo. So I use a drum machine, sorry. And then I'm putting down the guitar, vocals, keyboards, bass and all that. And basically ship over the demo to James. And then James will put down the drums on that, comes back, and then I'll amend some of the parts that I put down sometimes, based upon the drums. Well, quite often actually, because then you can kind of gel around the real drums and the groove and everything, make sure things are tight. And then from there, it's really then a question involving the others to replace my bass with Mark Platty's bass guitar and harmony vocals, backing vocals, and Mike's piano and so on. And those for this last album, they were done through a mixture of those guys doing things independently in their own studios or a commercial studio and shipping the files back to us, which we then assembled, well, our engineer did, Dave Erringer, into the mix. Or we also had some live sessions where the vocal sessions we did with the Webb sisters at Rack Studios and Dean Street Studios. 3 sessions there, some sessions with Earl, and so on. So it kind of comes together a little bit of a jigsaw. But the template for the jigsaw is the demos that we've written, and they're adding their parts to those, really, and respectful of the song. But there's quite a telepathy with all the players now in terms of, we're not prescribing, oh, can you put in this guitar riff here in this kind of in this particular format. We're kind of leaving it open to the players to hear the songs, go play on them, and they're just so great at that, and that's why we feel there's a lot of cohesiveness, particularly on both albums, but I think particularly on this one, because people understand what it is we're trying to do, and we've all played together for a while now, so it kind of works really well.
Yeah, for sure. And James, what's it like when Rob sends you those demos with the drum machine parts? Do you ever look at that and go, I can't do that?
Very basic drum machine parts, let's be honest.
I look at it and say, I have to change that very quickly. No, because Rob doesn't really spend a lot of time, because he knows that I'm going to come up with something anyway. So it's just a marker, really. So
yeah,
I love it. I love getting it. It's so exciting, because I just think, first of all, what does the song need? And then I think, how creative can I be without getting in the way of what the song needs? So I kind of always think, I must admit, I always think, what would Ringo do? I always start there and then kind of build on it, because what he did was the ultimate with the ultimate band. So I always think, okay, let's not get in the way of anything, but I just want to enhance it. Or sometimes I'll take a bit of a left turn and then do something really unexpected and then kind of nervously send it off to Rob, thinking he's going to think I'm insane. But so far, it's been okay. It's like, yeah, I like that. Let's work with that. So, yeah, it's a great time, and it's a really unusual way we work. Actually, we seem to do it one song at a time. So this is why there are no songs left, because Rob will send a song, I'll work on it, and then we send it to all the band, and that song's done. And then the following month, let's do another song. So we don't really work in batches at the moment, anyway. I mean, it's not on purpose. It's just it's the way it works. And yeah, the last album, I think we took about 12 months thereabout, didn't we? Working through. So I'm so impressed. It's so cohesive. The first song was done, ages ago. But that also gives us time to sit back, reflect, and think about the album as a whole as well. So I think it helps with our production to have a couple of songs that we're really happy with. And it's like, okay, here's the template for the sound. Let's push this direction a bit more. So this album's a little bit more up-tempo, a bit harder. Guitars are up a little bit more. It's just what we felt, wasn't it, Rob? Just wanted to rock out more.
Good, yeah, good. And you've played a couple of shows recently at the 100 Club to launch the album. How did they go?
Oh, they were terrific. Yeah, it was great. I mean, we did 3 nights. 2 were sold out, and 1 nearly. The atmosphere was fantastic. The fans were absolutely terrific. It's a great venue to play. Everyone's up close to the stage, and there's a real buzz in the air. It was great to play the new songs. We actually played the whole new album live for the first time, so we got a real kick out of doing that. And played some of the old songs as well, of course. So yeah, terrific. And now it's a question of plotting the next steps in terms of more gigs and so on. So we're kind of weighing up a few options on that at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Once the album is out, I'm sure people want to see you playing them live. What is the plan this year with doing some more shows?
Well, we haven't really fully decided yet, so we can't really announce anything because we got a couple of options, but there will be shows. We're just trying to figure out. It's quite a logistical challenge with the band to have the band as we've got it at the moment for the live band, because you got Mike Garson lives in LA, Mark and Earl are in New York State. We're over here, obviously. Some other members of the live band are over here, so we got quite a few schedules and things to align there's a lot to work out, but there's a lot of appetite for us to do more, and a lot of people are pinging us about, with offers and things. So we're just going to sit back and kind of figure it out. But first job is get the album out, make sure people, want to hear it live. I think they do, and then we'll lock in the dates.
Yeah, are you hoping to go overseas as well at some point?
Yeah, I mean, we did New York year before last. I'm not sure we're at this point going back there. We got offered to go back, but it's there's a lot going on, as you know. There's a lot of complexity with even outside of everything that's going on in the world. There's a lot of complexity with visas and stuff like that. We just got to make sure it's kind of worthwhile to go back. But the plan will be to do something in the US again at some point, and maybe some other shows in Europe. But I think first step is to do UK and do some dates outside of London at some point.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with KillerStar to talk about their new record and more. Now, if you are listening to us on Spotify, then you'll be pleased to hear we also have a Spotify playlist. It brings you 150 brand new up-and-coming artists that we feel like you might just enjoy yourselves. If you want to check that out, search Fresh by The Sound Lab on Spotify, or head to the website thesoundlabuk.co.uk and click on the Fresh playlist button. So while you go and do that to listen to later on, of course, we've got our next interview from Jess Moskaluke. She's been busy releasing some new music, and we've had a chat with her all about it. So Jess Moskaluke, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. So we've been playing a single of yours called Last Rodeo. Tell us a bit about the single.
Yeah, that one just came out, and it's a love song. Basically, it's a song about finding the person that you love and just hanging on to them and loving them like it's the last day on earth.
Nice. And you've now released a couple of singles since your last EP from back in 2023. Are we now gearing up towards another bigger body of work?
Maybe. I haven't decided what that's going to look like quite yet. But we've got a few more songs to come out, so we will see what that looks like.
Nice. Yeah, nice. And you've released a few EPs, a couple of albums as well. The sounds that you where you currently are, is it kind of where you want your music to be, or do you think there's more scope for you to try things to see where it goes?
I mean, I think whenever I release a song in that moment, that's where I want my music to be. The next song might sound different. I don't know. I'm really enjoying the freedom of where country music has taken us right now. And there are so many different kind of subgenres within country. And it's a lot of fun as a person whose job it is to be creative and to create. It's a lot more fun to not be placed in such a box. So maybe there's more scope. Maybe I'm right where I need to be. It's really a fun journey, just writing and feeling that freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to talk about the writing process as well. So for you, how do tracks normally start off?
Usually it's kind of with just an idea, maybe a title or a concept. I like writing to track with a producer. So I like being in the room and kind of knowing where that song is going to end up and building that kind of as we go, instead of some people just write with just an acoustic guitar, which is totally fine too. But I find that when we are writing, if we write to a track and kind of come out of it with a proper demo, it's a lot easier to kind of sell back to your label to be like, this is what the sound is that I'm going for. It lets everyone get a clearer representation of your vision. And I think that it adds a lot of energy to it, and really speeds up the whole process. So yeah, we kind of start with just an idea or a concept, and then everything else just sort of happens simultaneously.
Yeah. Is there a specific method to the layering up process, or is it, as you say, kind of all in one go, it just happens?
It really does happen all at once. You're kind of writing lyrics as you're writing melody, and often there's a designated person in the room who is kind of creating the bare bones of that track, and then everyone jumps in, and it really, I don't know how to explain it. I think for people it's difficult to comprehend that those things all happen at once, not just like you write the words, then you write the music, and then you put the track. It's not like that for me, at least. really just all at the exact same time. Instead of presenting lyrics like saying, gonna love you like it's my last rodeo. How about that? Lots of times you're just singing them in a melody, and then sometimes you sing them different. And it's songwriting is such a unique experience, and it happens differently for so many people. But if you've never done it, it's almost difficult to explain.
Yeah, especially when the world of lyrics and the world of music are two very different worlds, really. Do they both come quite naturally to you?
They didn't at first. I really had to kind of learn and wrap my brain around how how it works, but also how it works for me, because like I said, it's such an individual thing.
Mm.
But it's for me, it's a muscle, and if that muscle hasn't been flexed in a little while, then you need to kind of get back into shape with it. But yeah, it wasn't always something. I'm really glad that it's something that I continued to work on, because I think that it's so much more rewarding to write, to sing and perform and record songs that you've written. But yeah, it wasn't always this way.
Yeah, fair enough. And when you go into the studio to start your writing session, do you go in with anything pre-prepared, like certain lyrics or a melody or a tune or something, or is it simply fresh kind of when you're in there?
Excuse me. Sometimes, not always, but I love to co-write. So sometimes other people have come with things prepared that so a lot of times, especially in Nashville, because those people are just constantly inundated with music and inspiration, and they're constantly writing. So many times I will come with something prepared, and they will be like, I just had this thought on the drive over, and it blows anything I had prepared out of the water. And you kind of have to grab those things as they come. So yeah, every session is different, every inspiration is different, and there's really no one path.
Yeah, good. And people want to see you doing some live stuff. And I'm looking on your website, and you've just got the one show booked in at the moment. What is your plan this year for doing some shows?
Is there only one side of my? Oh, no, we got lots of shows this summer. That's funny. I've got to look to make sure that's updated. Maybe not everything's been announced yet, but I am expecting my first child in April. So that will change things a little tiny bit, although it hasn't at all. I still have the exact same amount of shows this summer as I pretty much always do. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, congrats on the baby, and hope it all goes well. But yeah, if
Yeah.
you're going to be busy, I'm sure that we can't wait to see you. Where are you playing then? Is it just US based at the moment, or are you hopefully coming back over this way?
I'm actually Canadian, so the shows are all Canadian based right now. And again, with giving birth to a child, I don't think I will unfortunately be crossing the pond anytime in the next few months. That's a whole other beast, but would love to come back. I need to learn motherhood first and
Mm.
figure out how that works and how my child can fit into international travel. We'll need to get the baby a passport. There's a lot of steps before I can come back to the UK, but I would love to do that.
Yeah, good. Is there anywhere you've not been to yet that you want to go and play at some point?
Oh my gosh, there's tons of places that I've not been to. We've done Australia, but I've never done New Zealand. I would really like to do that. Germany has always been on my list for a very long time. Yeah, gosh, there's not a lot of places that I wouldn't go.
Fair enough. And I like to talk about show day as well. So for you, talk us through your day from waking up until after the show has finished.
Um, that's also tricky. It depends on where the show is and what the show is. We'll assume that we've flown in the night before. Canada's a massive country.
Mm.
And so we often need to fly in the day before, because there's often, the travel days are sometimes 10 plus hours. And I live 2.5 hours from the airport. So let's pretend we are already in the city that we're playing in. We'll usually wake up and maybe grab a bite to eat. I'll usually do a bunch of work for a couple hours on my computer, because being an artist is not just being an artist, it is being an admin person and an entrepreneur. And then we'll go to sound check and, do that, run through a few things, maybe grab another quick bite, play the show, go, sign autographs if that's a thing, do a meet and greet, get home and pack up and get ready. They're all really different. It's really hard. There's no such thing as an average day in my life at all. Like it doesn't matter. Like today is very different than a show day. A travel day is very different. So yeah, but maybe that's what some show days are like sometimes.
Nice. Is there kind of anything that you have to do just before the show starts, or anything that you cannot do before the show starts?
Yeah, I mean, I do need to warm up my voice. That is something that I remain consistent with as much as I possibly can. And anything that I can not do before the show is just being being cautious with my voice. If I'm in any kind of loud environment, like a really loud restaurant or anything like that, I try to either not chat a bunch or find somewhere quieter because it's a lot harder on my voice um, to chat in loud environments than it is to even sing. So, yeah, that's kind of it.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Jess Moskaluke to talk about new music and more. Now, if you're loving all of today's interviews, then you can hear them once again on our international radio show called Future Hits. It brings them in an edited form this time, alongside a load of new music and a live session too. That comes alongside other international radio shows like It's Christmas and our pop punk party shows. So if you want to check them out, head to the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk, and click International Radio Shows. So while you go and find out everything that we do at the Sound Lab, we've got our final new interview. And it comes from Max Miller, who you will know from DEJA DEAD. He is also a film editor from the United States, and he's worked on some great projects, which we had to talk to him all about. So Max Miller of DEJA DEAD, how are you?
How's it going, Jim? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. First things first, tell us a little bit about this DEJA DEAD project you are working on. Tell us a bit about that, first of all.
For sure. So DEJA DEAD, it's kind of like my version of Memento Mori. You know, it's sort of like remember that you'll die. And I think, you know, having that idea in your head can sound kind of negative, but I kind of see it as a positive and sort of like a reminder, you know, to sort of just enjoy the moment, you know. So it's kind of a fun play on words and also a way to let me have dead in my band name.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we've been playing a single of yours called Snapshots. Tell us a bit about the single as well.
Sure. So the single Snapshots, I actually recorded it in Glasgow in Scotland with one of my musical heroes, Rico, who was this big kind of trip hop alternative artist in the kind of late 90s, early 2000s. And I'd been a fan of his music for, you know, my whole life and kind of had this opportunity to come over there and work with him. And so, yeah, we got together in the studio and sort of had 3 weeks of kind of intense recording sessions. And this song Snapshots was the first piece to come out of that collaboration. You know, and he sort of like through his network, we were able to record the 15-second intro to the track on the last remaining Wurlitzer organ in Scotland, which is at the Pollokshaws Borough Hall. And, you know, it's like he helped me with the lyrics. You know, we'd kind of go back and forth on the lyrics, and I rewrote the song like maybe 3 times while I was there and until we kind of hit the right thing. So it was really this sort of musical boot camp of firing on all cylinders and kind of trying to put the pieces together. And this was the first piece to come out of it all.
Nice, yeah, nice. And that is coming off a new record of yours, Disconnected. What can we expect to hear and even see on this record?
Yes, it's you know, each song kind of follows, it jumps around a lot musically, you know, it's sort of in this like it jumps around genres, maybe a little like Gorillaz or Beck, you know, but it's kind of got this darker vibe to it. But some of the songs are more punky, some of them are a little more like, you know, just nod your head, rainy car drive. And you know, again, this whole experience of making this album was such a dream come true for me that I wanted to figure out a way to release it in a way that would live up to the experience of making it. And so I produced this short film. I had this idea for this sort of sci-fi kind of techno horror short film where, you know, there's this mysterious phone game and people are playing this game and they get addicted to it in this way that like leads them sort of Pied Piper style into this digital dimension. And I kind of went on this idea and made this. It's like a 20-minute short film. Each part of the film is soundtracked by one of the songs, so it's sort of 4 music videos in a row, but they follow a story. And so it's become this audio visual sort of album. But also the game is real. So if you have an iPhone, you can look up Cloud Game by DEJA Dead, download the game, and it's a way. So far, Snapshots is the only single that's out, but if you play the game and you can unlock 1 million points through playing the game obsessively, you can hear the second song before anybody else.
Sounds like a good incentive to play your game. And there's a live event coming at in the Glasgow Film Theatre on the 23rd of March. For those who kind of want to go to that, what can they expect at the event?
It'll be a fun event. I wanted to bring this album back to Glasgow where it all began and showcase this work. And so at the screening, I'll be talking about more details about my time with Rico and what it was like to be in the city. I'll be showing some behind the scenes footage from the studio itself. I would set up my phone in the corner and just leave it running all the time and try to capture as much of it as I could. So I'll be showing some of that, kind of getting into the process. And then at the end of it, I'll be showing the short film in full, on the big, beautiful Glasgow Film Theatre screen, which should be a really interesting experience, to watch with the audience. I can't wait.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'd like to find out why you've gone down this music route, because your background is more in film and film editing. What made you kind of do this project and release music?
Music's always been my passion. It's kind of the way I got into film editing in the first place was when I was in, middle school, high school. I'd make music videos for my songs and I would have to edit them myself. And so I always really loved that part of the process. And then at a certain point, I had the opportunity to have an internship on a TV series. It was the American version of Skins. And I got to sort of be in the room with the editors. And I saw that this was a career. It wasn't just a fun part of a process. You could kind of make a life out of it. So I got very into that. And so then since then, I pretty much followed these like 2 tracks of musician by night, film editor by day. And with this project, I was able to sort of bring together everything I had learned sort of through 10 years in the film industry and, 20 years of making music and make this big music film, album movie collaboration to bring it all together.
Yeah, no, nice. And what direction are you seeing yourself going in the future? Do you think it's going to be a cross of all things still, or do you think there's a more primary route you'll go down?
I think I'm just going to keep going and see where it takes me. I've had people ask me about this short film, like, do you have plans to make it into a feature? And I just thought that was very, I hear that and then my mind starts firing on all the ways that the story can continue. And of course, I'm always writing lyrics. I just have this like running notes app on my phone of just like, I'll put the date down that it is, and I'll just write down a bunch of thoughts. A couple months later, I'll take a scroll and be like, oh, that was interesting. And, and then, you never know what comes out of that. So I'll just keep on keeping on and see what's next. But I'm really excited to be finally putting this out. And I think it's going to be really fun to do it all back in Glasgow.
Yeah, most definitely. And with the film and the live show, the music, the game you mentioned, is there any other layers to DEJA Dead that you kind of want to try and see if might work?
I'm always looking for new ways. With an earlier album I put out, I did a 3-hour live stream where I was playing, I'd perform the same song over and over again. But I had like a Mad Libs style questionnaire online where people could fill in their own lyrics and submit like word replacements. And then I would sing those lyrics as they came in. So I'm always looking for sort of new ways to kind of bring something tangible and interesting to music in a world that's so kind of like, in one ear, out the other, streaming, and hear the best song you've ever heard. And then 2 seconds later, like your phone flashes and you forget what you just experienced, and I'm always thinking of trying to find a new way to work around that and get people's attention back and focus on the music, really.
And tell us a bit more about your history of film editing, because you've worked on a few good shows that people will know, like Andor and Palm Royale, for instance, a couple of those. But tell us a bit more about your film editing history.
And Andor was a really fun project to be a part of. It was sort of mid-pandemic. Most of the team was cutting it in Pinewood in the UK, and just me and one of the editors had a little two-bedroom apartment in New York City where we're just sort of, we'd receive all this footage and be working on it. So it kind of felt like we were working on a little indie movie, because it was this kind of like small setup, but then this huge team of like almost 40 people in Pinewood. And then of course, like it was Star Wars. So it was really amazing. Palm Royale, most recently, that just came out on Apple TV. I edited 3 of the episodes, and it's just a good time. It's just a very fun show. I think we're living in a pretty dark world, and I think it just being able to laugh, and we were laughing every day at work, and I think that was such an important way to keep our heads on straight. And I hope if you watch the show, it brings you some joy, and just amazing performances by like Kristen Wiig and Allison Janney and Carol Burnett, Ricky Martin, who just showed up at the Super Bowl halftime show last night, which is very cool to see, because I've been looking at his face for the past year on my screen. So yeah, it's just really great. And I've been taking the last couple months to really focus on this album release and this launch, and then I'm hoping to just jump into the next one, next show or movie or something whenever I get back from Glasgow.
Yeah, have you got anything lined up?
Couple feelers out there, but nothing solid yet. But I'm really looking forward to it. I've been having some exciting conversations. I think the film industry and TV industry has been pretty quiet in a strange way. But I think it's starting to pick back up sort of as the year kicks off. So it's been actually really nice to have this time to kind of really sit down with this project. It's been a really long time in the making, and put it together. I wanted to say, I saw that you've interviewed Dead Pony a couple times. So at one point, Rico was like, this song, it's the last song on the album. He's like, this could really use sort of like someone else singing besides you, like, some female vocals or some kind of extra texture. And so he called Anna Shields from Dead Pony and just asked if she'd like come down for an afternoon. And she just she really elevated the song in an amazing way. She just, sang on the chorus. He sort of layered our voices together, and I'm excited for people to hear that. I've been loving watching their kind of like rapid ascent through music land, and their new single's great too. Dead Ponies. So another thing to look forward to, little like the detailed mind of Rico was like finding all these pieces and putting it all together, and really trying to find a way to make these songs pop.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, they are back, and I should be interviewing them at some point this year, because they're on the festival circuit. So I'll be
great.
I'll be chatting to them again, I'm sure.
Amazing.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Max Miller of DEJA DEAD. And this is the part of the show where we like to throw back in time, but this week is a little bit of a sad affair. We had a chat with Phil Campbell on a number of occasions over many years of doing this show. Unfortunately, he passed away earlier this week. You will know Phil Campbell from working with his sons on his Bastard Sons project, and of course of Motorhead. And we had a chat with him all about what he was up to at the time. So Phil Campbell, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. Let's start off and have a chat about the brand new single of yours that we're playing at the moment, called Bite My Tongue. Tell us about the single.
Well, it's just another slab of, cool music for my new album. It's two riffs I had, actually, that one. And they were going to be different songs, but they worked so well together on there. And it turned out really good. I think I think that's like the third single type thing we've put out from the album so far. But there's more to come. The release is on the 13th anyway, so I'm excited about the album release.
Yeah. And speaking of the album,
brand new songs on this one. So
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is your second record with the Bastard Sons. How does this one compare to your previous?
I think it's by far superior. I mean, the first one was really good, really, really good. I think we had a debut album of the year award from Metal Hammer as well on that. We won that, so that was a good album. This one was done under different circumstances. It was under lockdown and that. So we did it all in our own recording studio. This one, and Todd produced. Romesh produced the first one. He did a great job. But Todd, we wanted Todd to do this one. He did an incredible job. The sounds, I think, is right in your face. All the instruments, all the songs. And we did the album that we wanted to. We didn't really have a deadline as such. We decided last year we wanted to release the second album, put another album out by the end of 2020. So we got all our shit together like by very early March. It was all ready to go, and then all the lockdowns came and everything. So after a few weeks, we thought, we're not going to just sit here. So we recorded it like socially distanced, just a couple of band members in at the time. Todd was there every day, and then we'd have to scrub the studio after each session and everything. So it was quite relaxed. We were under no pressing deadline as such. And we ended up with 13 brand new songs. And I'm over the moon with it. I think it's a fantastic record myself. I'm biased, but it is.
Yeah, definitely. And what's it like working with your family? Because the majority of the members are your sons as well. So what's it like working with them? Is it more kind of family related, and is it more happy when you're in the studio together writing, or is it a bit more fractious?
It's just like any other band, really. I mean, they're all incredible musicians. So we're all bouncing ideas off everyone, and it's just like being in a band, I guess. Occasionally, you have the thought like, it's my kids, But as far as musically, and it's great to be playing with my kids, because I spent so much time on the road with Motorhead, and I missed a lot of cool stuff when I was on the road. My wife did a brilliant job, raising them and everything. And I was there for a lot of the time, but not as much as I would have liked to. So it's good I can make up for a bit of lost time now as well, and we have a lot of fun. Yeah.
Good, excellent. And speaking of being on the road, and obviously coronavirus at the moment, is there plans in place at the moment to be on tour next year, or are you just waiting to see what happens?
We've got some stuff booked. We've got some festivals booked, and obviously we postponed our UK tour, which should be happening now. We put that, back to next year, and just fingers crossed. We've got to be putting things in place, in case something good happens. And I like to think of myself as an optimist. If we can get us a vaccine, not too distant future, and try and get things back to normal as we can. And I don't see why we don't, why we can't, to get it back to pretty much normal if everyone takes a vaccine and stuff, and everyone's sensible about things. And I think audiences and artists alike have missed doing what they do, going to the gigs or playing gigs, a lot. So I think there'll be a lot of smiling faces when things do get back. So I'm optimistic for some stuff to start happening next year. So we got some things in place, so we're not taken unawares, so to speak. If a miracle happens.
Yeah, definitely. Now, coming over to Motorhead, 40 years since Ace of Spades. That came out just before you joined the band, but you're releasing a 40th anniversary edition of that record. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's great for, there's some really rare stuff on it, some live recordings. It's a fantastic package. It's got a lot of stuff in there, in the main box set, or if not, you can just buy the actual album or the CD. I think it's good. It's good now because it might introduce some new generation to Motorhead's music. And it's such a. It was 4 years before I joined the band.
Yeah.
It's such a great album. And it still sounds really fresh. So hopefully it'll turn a lot of new people onto the band. And they might get interest from that.
And I hope you enjoyed our final interview with Phil Campbell of Motorhead and the Bastard Sons, who has sadly passed away. And dedications go out to him and his family. And that's the end of the show for another week, I am afraid. But don't you worry, we will be back next week with more interviews. But if you can't wait until then, social media at The Sound Lab, yes, on all the socials. And you can also check out the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. And we will be back same time next week for another episode of Interviews Unedited. Goodbye.